Content warning. Episodes of Gray Matter may contain themes and depictions of extreme mental illness, traumatic bodily harm, and death. If you aren't in the right headspace to engage with those depictions right now, maybe this episode should wait for another time. Otherwise, proceed with caution.
Hello, and welcome to Gray Matter Video. Let me ask you something. What did you want to do when you grew up? Who did you want to be? Because on one hand, I sure didn't want to be the clerk at a video store, but on the other hand, I actually really did. I feel kind of lucky to have found this place, amidst all of life's grand mess, and you should too. You see, life's a complicated thing, full of branching paths and shocking twists, unexpected heartbreaks and long-planned triumphs. But what do you do if your life hasn't turned out the way you planned? Do you find someone to blame? Do you flee from the reality into the realm of self-delusion? Or do you just rent our tapes and feel lucky that your life is going better than that of the people you watch on them? No judgment for me, of course, but it's a good question to think on. To that end, this tape is called Life Story, and it's about a man at the proverbial crossroads, trying to differentiate what is from what he feels like should be. He thinks he knows, but he can't quite be sure. Can you? Life Story, written and directed by Jonathan Inbody.
Glenn, I'm ready for you.
Thanks for seeing me on such short notice, Dr. Miranda.
Of course, that's what I'm here for. I'm so sorry about the Christmas music in the waiting room. It's all the radio stations play now. And it's earlier and earlier every year. It used to not start until after Thanksgiving. Now it pops up the day after Halloween.
I know what you mean. Who likes Christmas music that much?
Nobody I know. So, tell me, Glenn, what was so important that it couldn't wait until your appointment next week?
It's going to take some time to explain.
Well, that's fine. We've got the whole hour. Just start at the beginning.
Jesus. The beginning? I guess it started when I was a kid.
Well, you don't have to go back that far. Unless, well, it goes back that far?
Yeah, it kind of does. But I guess I should start like this. I always get a little blue around the holidays. A little melancholy. Not like depressed, but just sad. I don't really have anyone. We've talked about this. My mom's been dead since I was 14, and my dad might as well be. Who the hell knows? He could be. But, I don't have any brothers or sisters. I don't really date. I've got my aunts, but... Well, I thought it was hard to make friends as a kid, and now it's so much harder. Even if you find some, they're always busy, or you're always tired from work, or nobody's got any money. Life's kind of a bear trap, but you never bleed out. You just rot standing up.
The world certainly has a way of being cold.
Especially around the holidays. There's only so many times you can sit alone in an empty apartment on New Year's Eve. At least theoretically.
But this melancholy you're describing, has it gotten worse recently? Strengthened into something you would call depression?
No. That's kind of separate.
Separate from what?
Okay. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I hit my head. I dropped my phone, I bent down to grab it, and when I came back up, wham, right into the edge of the kitchen counter. Hurt a little bit, but I didn't pass out or anything, and my doctor says I don't have a concussion, but ever since it happened, I keep having this dream. Not every other night, maybe every 3, but it's not just a dream. It's a memory. It happened. Back when I was a kid. Okay, so there was this abandoned house a couple of streets over on West Oak. All the kids used to say it was haunted, and we'd dare each other to go in or go up and knock on the door or whatever, but nobody ever went inside. Maybe somebody did, but, none of us kids. And anyway, there was this time, it was right before Christmas, and I was out of school and bored out of my little skull, so I got it in my head that I was going to go over there. So that night, I waited for my mom to go to sleep, and I snuck out. It wasn't too hard to get inside. The lock was busted, but there wasn't really much of anything in there. Kitchen was pretty empty, and the living room, basement, attic, there was nothing there. But it was the damnedest thing. It looked just like my house. It was the same layout. The floor plan, typical suburbia, right? But somehow I got it into my head that if I went into the room where my bedroom was in my house, there would be something inside. And there was.
What was inside?
There wasn't much. A tilted bed with 2 bottom legs broken and a lamp with no bulb, but under the bed, in the little lean-to created by the way it was tilted, there was something moving. Something alive.
An animal? A raccoon or stray cat or something?
No, it was, kind of this bulb, like a tulip or, like an octopus head or, it had these things tangled around it or folded under it, not quite tentacles, but, not quite spider legs either. There must have been 4 of them, maybe 6. It was like a little stool, a couple of feet high, or like a little punching bag with legs.
What was it?
I don't know. I still don't know. I sort of crawled over to it, trying to get a better look at it to figure out what it was. But when I got close to it, it sort of shrank back, so I had to keep moving closer. It was kind of like pulling me in, the way a snake does right before it strikes you. And it did. All of a sudden, it just popped up like it was on springs, pounced, I guess you'd call it, maybe lunged. And the bulb sort of like opened up or like pulled apart or expanded or something. And before I knew it, it was on my head, over my head, covering my face, my eyes, my ears, my mouth, everything. And those legs or tentacles, whatever, they were wrapped around me like backpack straps, pulled all the way tight. And it was terrifying, it was horrible. And it must have had, I don't know, feelers or something on the inside, because I could feel the tips moving on my face. One tried to get in my mouth and then went up my nose and into my sinuses, and another one kind of thinned out and went into the corner of my eye. And then nothing was horrible, It felt like a warm pillowcase, fresh from the dryer, a hot bath. And even though my head was covered, I started to see things. It was just lights at first, then shapes, but then it was images. I saw my house, my mother, my friends from school, and I got it in my head that this thing had everything inside it, and I could just walk around with it on my face and still see everything just fine. But I didn't want to walk. I just wanted to lie there and feel it.
And you're saying that this happened? You believe this happened?
I know how it sounds, but it was real. I just sat there, stuck in it for what felt like a minute, maybe two, but... And then all of a sudden, I got this feeling like when you wake up, bam, out of a nightmare, and I freaked out, and I threw myself against the wall, broke most of my fingernails, tearing it off my head. Its skin, its surface was like glue, and it wouldn't let go, but I finally got free, and I just stomped on it with my boot. Just stomped until it stopped moving, and I ran away, and I never went back. But when I got home and I looked at the clock, I had been gone for 4 hours.
What do you think it was?
Well, it wasn't a raccoon. But you know how kids can be, how much rolls off their back. So after it kept me up for like a night or two, I never really thought about it again. It just didn't make sense, So I set it aside until I hit my head, and it all came back.
And what does this have to do with how you've been feeling lately?
Everything.
I'm sorry, but I'm not understanding the connection. Thinking about this event, it makes you feel sad.
No. If anything, it makes me paranoid. There was this girl I knew in college, my friend. We could have been more than friends. She wanted to, but I was too. Anyway, one day, out of the blue, I got a phone call from her. I was in the other room. I heard it ringing, and I just decided to let it. And when I finally checked, I tried to call her back. Her roommate answered. My friend, who I'd never known to be anything but a straight-A student, died of a heroin overdose face down on the floor. And they said that she had laid there for almost an hour, just delirious and dying, and toward the end, she must have gotten up enough energy to call me, and I didn't answer.
I'm so sorry, Glenn. That's...
Why didn't I answer? You know, I still ask myself. But I'll be damned if I know why she even called. I mean, what would she have said? Was she calling for help? Or could she feel it coming? Or didn't she know it was too late already? Maybe she didn't have any idea and was just calling to catch up and chat with a needle in her arm. Do people know when they're dying, Dr. Miranda? Can they feel it?
I don't know. I wish I did, but I don't. And I am so sorry to hear about your friend. But I'm still not... I can't exactly put the pieces together. This story and the one from your childhood, is there some connection? Why do they make you feel paranoid?
Because I think I might still be inside it.
Inside?
Inside that thing, that animal. In that abandoned house on West Oak. I think it's still on my head. And everything since is, well, it's just been the images it's feeding me. The things it's making me feel so I don't feel myself getting digested. It's just keeping me busy while it eats. But I can feel it sometimes. Right before I fall asleep, I can feel its warmth. Its slick surface shifting on my skin. Those little tentacles up my nose and in my eye. I get nosebleeds. Did you know that? From just the one nostril.
Glenn, you have to know how extreme all of this sounds. This paranoia, the derealization, the feeling of connection between all these disparate events. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were suffering from a drug-induced psychosis.
I know how it... Okay, at least you see why I needed to make the appointment now. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that I need help, and I know I probably do. But what if I'm right? Think about it. Really think. Does the world make sense deep down? Or does it feel wrong all the time? And we just spend all our time suppressing it. Why do I keep having dreams about it? About that thing? And every time I do, why do I wake up choking? Suffocating?
If it's something that disturbed you in childhood, it's natural for those feelings to resurface at some point in your life.
I don't think so. I think it's my brain trying to warn me or wake me up or something. And ever since the dreams, I'm seeing it, you know? The whole world feels fake. Every day is the same. Just eating and sleeping and working, and it never changes. Like it's supposed to keep me docile. Lull me into a false sense of security and not. And I have this job, supposedly, to pay my bills, but the money I get never covers the money I need. And even if I got any money, what am I supposed to do with it? buy more stuff to distract myself from how mind-numbing my life is. There used to be stores when I was a kid, malls, places full of happy people with money to spend and nice, warm homes to go back to. And now, nobody does anything. Nobody goes anywhere because a sit-down restaurant costs what you make in a day. That doesn't make sense. That's not how an economy works. You need money going in to get money out.
I understand that modern life can be complicated, but...
Not complicated. Nonsensical. Okay, cable died because there was too many ads. Now streaming is putting ads back in. What sense does that make?
Well, they have to make money.
Why? For what? To buy $10 eggs at the grocery store? Oh, to buy the $1 million houses nobody lives in. It doesn't make any sense. And it used to. At least I thought it did. I know part of that's just being a kid, but we've got fucking Nazis in the White House. That's not right. That's not real. That's science fiction bullshit. That's Philip K. Dick. COVID-19? A new flu? That's turn of the century stuff. That's not today. School fucking shootings, climate change. Why would corporations knowingly destroy the planet when they live here? That's not greed. That's a plot hole. And all of us, all the time, we talk about how unreal it feels, but we never take that next step. It's unreal because it's not happening. None of it. I don't even know who's real, or if any of us are. Maybe there's more, but what if it's just me? What if it's just my brain slowly dying and it's trying to force things in that are too fucking bizarre to be reality? What if it's trying to wake me up?
Glenn, you have to stop shouting.
I'm sorry, but just listen, please. Just listen to me for a second. Do you know what life has been like for the past 10 years? 20 years? It's been like ordering a meal because of the picture on a menu. And when it arrives, it doesn't look anything like what you thought. It's not what you ordered. It's not what you're hungry for. But it's in front of you, and you're paying for it. So you've got no choice but to eat it. But deep down, you know it's not right. And then there's all these clues, too. These hints. My nose bleeds, but just in one nostril. And then there's this little stinging pain I get in the corner of my eye sometimes, right where it went in. People in the world have the same names as people I knew as a kid, or do the same jobs, or look like people I know but aren't. I'll see some article online about someone going into a coma because of a brain aneurysm, and when I look at the picture, they look like me. It's like the Christmas music. What we talked about before, it moves, Every year it starts playing a little earlier and it plays a little longer. Why? You said it yourself. You don't know anyone that likes Christmas music that much. Nobody does. Because it's not playing for them. Because they're probably not even real. It's playing for me. To remind me, to warn me that I'm still trapped. A week before Christmas in that abandoned house on West Oak. And my mom, she's not dead, not really. She's waiting for me at home, worried sick, wondering what happened to me. I don't have a life behind me. I have a life ahead of me.
Are you afraid of what's happened to you since you were a child? to the world? Do you resent the future?
Yes. God, of course I do. How could you not?
And would you say that it's tempting for you to believe it's not real?
I mean, it's terrifying. It's horrible. It's the scariest thing I've ever felt, but it is a relief. Just knowing that there's a reason everything feels like this, knowing I'm not the thing that's wrong. If I'm still 10 years old, stuck at 10 years old, then no wonder nothing in this adult world makes sense.
And do you think your temptation to believe it could turn to eagerness? To using it as a psychological escape hatch?
It could. But if I was trapped, if all of this was fake, then that's exactly what you would say, isn't it? You'd write me a new prescription or something to put my mind at ease so I stop putting up a fight.
Oh, no, I'm part of the grand conspiracy?
Well, you could be. If it's true, I just can't trust anything because then everything's either it or me. You, any of you, you might not even exist.
You know, Sigmund Freud argued that illnesses like psychosis and schizophrenia were outgrowths of narcissism. That what makes the break with reality occur is a reversion of the patient to the primary self-centeredness of childhood. I don't really ascribe to that myself, but it does make you think. If what you're genuinely arguing is that all of reality has conspired to deceive you, specifically, then you have to ask yourself, why? Why you? And if you don't have a good answer, then you have to acknowledge that it doesn't make sense.
It's not all of reality. It's just one thing. The thing. And it's got the oldest reason there is, Doctor. In this life, in all life, there's producers and there's consumers. Plants and animals, or prey animals and predators. Workers and their bosses. And that thing, it doesn't need me to be happy. It doesn't care. All that thing needs is for me to be alive and still, so it can suck that out of me and keep on ticking. It's perfect, really, when you think about it. How do you keep your prey from escaping? Show them a world where they already did. You think a Venus flytrap wouldn't do that if it could?
You talk about what seems real, what feels it. But that thing is part of what makes the least amount of sense. I mean, what is it? An alien? A monster? That's fictional, Glenn. That's not real. Political upheaval, new diseases, those are real. Those are normal in the broad span of history. But monsters, that just isn't. They just aren't. If they were, wouldn't they be all over?
Not in the fake world. They couldn't risk being recognized. But in the real world, outside, maybe they are. And maybe we just overlook them. Or maybe that thing's unique. Some one-of-a-kind form of life from some one-of-a-kind place. But it doesn't matter. Not in the long run. Because if the world it created is falling apart this much, then that must mean it's almost done eating. What if it's like when people with dementia die? Where all of a sudden they're awake and alert. What do you call terminal lucidity? They're suddenly themselves again, aware again, for one fleeting moment. And it gives their families hope that they're getting better. But all it means is that it's about to be over. And I'm lucid now. I'm almost dead. And I'm running out of time to save myself.
Save yourself how, Glenn?
If I tell you, You have to promise not to have me committed.
I can't promise you that, and you know it. If you're a danger to yourself or others, I have a legal obligation to report that. Are you thinking about suicide?
No. I mean, Jesus, what if I was wrong? I need a shock, though. I know that. Something to jar me out of it. I tried jumping in a river, thought the cold might do it, but I just ended up wet. And I thought about stepping into traffic, but if I only break my neck or something, then I'm even more trapped than before.
Glenn.
I'm not going to try anything else, okay? I swear. Besides, I think I figured out what I need to do.
What is it?
I need to go back there, to the house on West Oak. I need to see what's there.
And what do you think? You're going to see yourself there?
I don't know. Maybe it'll jog my memory. If I find the thing dead, or its bones, if it has them, well, then maybe that'll bring me some comfort.
But maybe it won't, Glenn. Even if you do go back there, and the house is still sitting there where you left it, and there are this creature's bones sitting inside, will you really be satisfied? Or will you start to think that it predicted you, outplayed you, that it planted that house and those bones to lull you back into passivity?
Why the fuck would you say that?
Because if the problem isn't the world, then it'll travel with you wherever you go. It's like you said, your brain can't go outside of itself, so you can never really know. Maybe seeing that house will keep it at bay for a couple weeks, or months, or years. But then, someday you'll be sitting in a movie theater or something, and it'll hit you. This isn't real. I know this isn't real, and you'll be right back at the same problem. I've seen this before with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Someone thinks they have to flick the light switch 4 times or there'll be an electrical fire. Doesn't take that much time and it doesn't do any harm, so they just go along with it. But believing in it, giving into it, it doesn't make the compulsion go away. It just makes it worse. But if you get treatment, you can have tools designed to help if this happens again. Now, it doesn't have to be medicine, but it can't hurt to get a second opinion, right? Since you can't trust your own perception?
I can't trust yours either.
Then try someone else.
What if there is no one else? I could be talking to myself here. I mean, for all I know, it might not even be my wake-up call. I might not be real. You might be the one, and I'm just here to deliver the message, to make you doubt. It could be someone else. Anybody else. The fucking cashier at the drive-thru when I get my coffee. Oh, the guy that walks his dog at the same time every morning. Hell, maybe none of us are real. And we're just shreds of reality poking through into someone else's dream, just fake mouths to scream, "Wake up, you're dying, you're in a coma, wake up!"
Well, right now, Glenn, you and I are the only ones in the room.
I'm not so sure. I feel like there's someone listening in, or reading my words on a screen somewhere. I mean, if this world's not real, then it must exist for a reason. It must be a spectator sport for someone. And whoever they are, whether they're the thing that did this or just another victim of it, they're the reason my mom died. They're the reason Carrie died. Alone and in pain with a phone in her hand and a needle rotting in her arm. They're why I'm miserable all the time. They're why I'm alone. Why would it make me a world so miserable? Does it think I won't accept a life that's happy? Or do I feed it better if I'm not?
You're not alone, Glenn. I'm right here. Have you ever heard of Descartes' demon?
No,
Can I tell you about it?
if you want to.
Before I do, I want to ask you something. If this is all you or it, like you think, how can you learn something you don't already know? Where would that information come from? Did you read French philosophers in elementary school? Or does the alien creature eating your brain have a postgraduate degree?
I guess it depends on if it's something I could think of.
Fair enough. René Descartes, French philosopher. He believed that there were grounds for doubting everything, but especially the material world. Now, to him, the mind and body were separate, but the mind relies on the sensory input the body gathers. So, theoretically, there could be some kind of god or demon or being that intercepts that data and twists it, shows us a world that isn't real to trick us and keep us trapped. But if this demon exists, one that is constantly tricking us, then we have to exist too, or there's no reason for him to do it. So, let's assume that we exist, and the demon exists, and it wants to deceive us, to keep us like a brain in a vat with no external connections to the real world. It can create perfect illusions, sensations, all of it. We're trapped forever, totally unable to trust anything we encounter. Because if it has that power, why would it let us leave?
It wouldn't.
Right. So what's the difference?
What do you mean?
What's the difference between the world of illusions run by the demon and the real world?
There's no way to tell.
Exactly. If it's perfect at tricking you, there's no reason to assume you're being tricked.
So what? I'm just supposed to try and gaslight myself until I don't believe it anymore?
No. You're supposed to ask yourself, if it's all true, what are the ways in which I would change my behavior?
But it would change everything. If it's not hypothetical, then the only real thing anyone could do is try to break free. That's the only thing that would even matter.
And what if you can't? What if you're exactly as free as you could ever get?
What if I'm not?
Now, did you know any of that before we had that conversation? Or was that new?
As far as I can tell, it was new.
Then where did it come from? If you pulled up the Wikipedia page on René Descartes right now, clicked on all the sources, well, who wrote that? You? A 10-year-old? Or something from somewhere? Or was it scholars? People who exist out there in the world the same way you do, the same way I do, the same way everybody does. I mean, you don't know anything about me. You think my life doesn't have pain? My grandfather died when I was a kid. I still carry his wallet, for God's sake. Do you want to see it? If you came to my house, I could show you the blanket my great aunt crocheted for me right before she went blind. I could show you photo albums full of family and friends that just aren't here anymore. Because that's what life is. And those could all be lies. Or something some creature is making up on the fly in one last-ditch attempt to trick you into giving up. Or it could be real. I could be real. Everybody could be. I'd love to have a reset button. To go back and try life again with the knowledge that I have now. But I can't. None of us can.
Anyone ever tell you you're pretty good at this?
Once or twice. Now, I do hear you. I understand what you're saying, and I understand why you're saying it. It's natural to want to return to the innocence of childhood, even if that innocence and safety were ultimately unfounded. But what you need to consider is, well, let me put it like this. When you're young, there are endless possibilities. It's a huge tree with a million branches that you could climb, and you start to because you want to reach the top and see the view from up there. But on the way, you have to choose between branches. Which ones are the easiest to climb? So which ones are shaped right for your hands? Which ones are thick enough to support your weight? And soon enough, you realize there was only one path you could ever have followed. It's not too late to move, to try another way up, but you can't change the path that brought you there. Because the death of hope, of possibility, of the future, well, that's what's waiting for you at the top of that tree. You couldn't have lived just any life. It had to be yours, even if that's sad or lonely or frustrating. Most of them are. There is nothing wrong with feeling trapped in adulthood or trapped in your own life. We all are, and that's okay. We start to do things long before we understand why we do them. There's always going to be an adjustment period, and there's always going to be some dissatisfaction. But that doesn't mean that life is a trap someone sprung. Life is loss. Life is watching a flower grow, then watching it wither and flake away. Life is getting a puppy and seeing it age in arthritis. Life is watching your parents get old and die, and that is not a moral failing. The world is not a moral place. It's just what happens. And yes, life is something you suffer through because we don't have any other choice. It will take. And if you live long enough, it will take until you have nothing left. So how are you going to fill the time you do have? Dreading? Running? Or embracing that things are beautiful because they don't last?
But how do I turn it off? That feeling, that dread in my gut? How do I stop dreaming? How do I stop feeling it on my face when I'm drifting off?
Maybe it'll go away on its own, but maybe it won't. But either way, you go home and you rest, and you get a good night's sleep. And then, in the morning, you sit and think about what you want your life to be. Not what you wanted your life to be, not what it took from you, but what you want tomorrow and the day after that. And then you work towards having it. And if you start feeling better about yourself, about your life, maybe the dreams will stop.
That's not good enough. I'm sorry, but it's not. My mother isn't dead. My Carrie isn't dead. She doesn't even exist. Nothing does. Not war, not death, not... It's all fucking fake. It's wet cardboard. It's a lie. And if I could just tear it away, I could fix everything. If I could do it again, I'd...
You have as many chances as you need, Glenn. Right here. In the waking world. In the present. With the rest of us.
But what if it's not real?
What if it is? He sat there for a long time, considering it. At one point, he put his hand up and touched his face, feeling for a tentacle or a tendril or something sticking up his nose or into the corner of his eye. His eyes watered, but he didn't move to dry them. And soon, a few tears rolled down his cheek. I tried to get him to speak, but He just gently shook his head, and I leaned back in my chair to let him finish working it out. We spent the rest of our time that way, him thinking, feeling, and me watching. And by the end of it, it seemed to bring him some kind of peace, some contentment. He even wished me a Merry Christmas on his way out the door. That was the last time I ever saw him. He didn't call to cancel his next appointment. He just didn't show up. Maybe he switched therapists or was too embarrassed But maybe he went back to that abandoned house on West Oak. Maybe he walked through the empty living room and the kitchen to the stairs and went on up to the room that would have been his if he had ever lived there. Maybe he went inside. And if he did, whatever he found there, I hope it brought him comfort. I knew it probably wasn't anything as dramatic as all that. Hopefully he just tried to go out and improve himself. Make friends and find someone to share his life with. After all, that's all any of us can do. But ever since that day, ever since we talked, I keep having this dream.
Life's Story was written and directed by Jonathan Inbody. It was edited by Jeffrey Lavin, with music composed and performed by Samantha Hunt. Dr. Miranda, the narrator, was played by Paul McGinnis, and Andy Rich played Glenn.
Gray Matter is a Word Search Media production. Any similarities to real people, places, or things is purely coincidental.
If you like the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And support us at patreon.com/graymatterhorror.
Be kind. Rewind.